Welcome in to day 2 of the new Sportsmemo Podcast. Alongside Teddy Covers, I am Drew Martin. We're bringing in Teddy, a heavy hitter. Going to talk some college football, real games, real ones for Saturday night. Wyoming, New Mexico State, Colorado State, Hawaii, plus a little NFL preseason thoughts from Teddy. So Teddy, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Drew. Hey, man, me and you doing a pod after all these years with Lang. Good to hear you on the show. And, hey, take control of it, man. It's your show moving forward.
Well, thanks for that. And, really excited about it. Try some new things, keep some old things. Going to be still doing every game on the board podcast, both college football and NFL for the football season. But, Teddy, do you have any new thoughts on, the new look for Sports Memo going forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a transition. Obviously, if you haven't heard the news, Sports Memo was acquired by wagertalk.com this past week. And there'll be a slow transition over the course of the next couple of weeks. You'll see some changes on the site. One of the good things about this move is that we're going to see a site update, which let's be honest, we needed. We'll be able to have video capability. We'll be able to have some upgrades on the website itself. And, of course, the concept here is more content for you guys and more options for you guys. And the goal, and I believe the production, is going to be a ton of free content right at sportsmemo.com for anyone who's interested. And, of course, we will continue to have high-level guaranteed plays for those who are interested. So bottom line, I think it's a good thing. I'm excited about the move. It's a shame that we lost some guys who've been with Sports Memo for a long time. But at the same time, boy, I'm excited about some of the new guys we're bringing in, guys who have a proven track record of winning. And, of course, we're trying to bring in guys who are a little bit younger and hungrier. I think that is going to be a winning proposition in the long term. So excited about it. But really, for clients, for podcast listeners, not that much is going to change. You're still going to see sportsmember.com. You're still going to hear the podcast here every single weekday. So we're tweaking, but we're not changing. We're not making wholesale changes. Mostly, things are going to stay pretty much the same.
Well said, Teddy. And I agree with you. I think it's absolutely a good thing. We'll have different capabilities, better capabilities. And as far as the podcast goes, guys out there, follow us on Twitter at SportsMemo, the Free Play Twitter as well. Hit me up on Twitter at Drew Martin Betts with any questions, anything you guys want to hear on the podcast. Definitely, open to new suggestions, which way, what really you're interested in overall. But Teddy, what do you say? We hit some actual college football Saturday night here?
Yeah, but we know what people are interested in. I mean, honestly, we don't need to ask what people are interested in. People are interested in good information, sharp opinions, and, a winner now and again doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, there definitely will be some.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk college football. I'm ready. Yeah, we got real games on Saturday night, man. No preseason, actual college football. I mean, the full slate doesn't kick off until next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but we got the 2 early games. Hey, let's check them out.
Yeah, no, it should be a good setup here. We got, starting with the 7:30 Eastern game on CBS, Hawaii, Colorado State. That's 293, 294, the rotation numbers. Looks like a little over money here, up to as high as 57.5 at Heritage right now using the Sports Memo odds page. And it looks like minus 14 across the board for Colorado State, although a 13.5 at Penny. Do you think that's a leading indicator here on the move, Teddy?
Potentially. That being said, Kawhi's got some real concerns here. Not the least of which is the fact there is a hurricane headed towards Hawaii. They're scheduled to leave this evening, but they're talking about sustained winds of 155 miles an hour. They're talking about significant distractions for the players who are on. Nick Rolovich talking to one of the local TV stations, quote, he's going to attempt to keep his team focused, will be sensitive to their concerns for friends and family that they will leave behind. So that's a distraction. That's a legit distraction. You're flying out of a hurricane. You're leaving everyone behind. Not necessarily a best case scenario for a week 1 ball game. And then Rolovich hasn't named a QB yet. And I don't think he's going to name a QB right now. Quote, I think we could win some football games with Cole McDonald, with Siobhan Cordero, and to be honest, with Jeremy Musa too, said Rolovich. Musa's got probably the most talented arm. Cole and Siobhan are better athletes, but I think there will be multiple quarterbacks playing this year. I can see that happening. I think you've always got to be prepared for that because of injury, even though two are true freshmen. I told him the other day, I think we've got the best two freshmen in America. Somebody might have got one that's better, but I don't think anyone that has two that are better than the two we got. Rolovich also said, he asked, can more than one quarterback play in a game? Quote, yes, I think that's still on the table too. There's more components to it than just the quarterback, guys around them, the game plan, the situation. So I could see that happening. Of course, this is a Hawaii team that went 3-9 last year, just 1-7 in conference play. They only returns 10 starters, 5 on offense, 5 on defense. So, Hawaii, they got their share of issues in this ball game, Drew.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is, one of the lower tier programs in all of college football. Although there's some issues on Colorado State as well. I believe Mike Movo, he had a health issue. He was in the hospital. Colorado State loses a lot off their side. So I think you could make arguments both ways. Teddy, one handicapping angle in this game I'm interested in your opinion on. The kind of fading the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors when they play on the mainland is a handicapping angle I know you're familiar with, and I guess you could say could be somewhat of a sharp angle. However, week one, like you said, they're planning on leaving today, I believe. It's not as drastic of a advantage for, say, Colorado State in this. Do you factor that in, it being week one and it not affecting them as much?
Well, I mean, you look at Colorado State as a home dog, or sorry, as a road dog. They were actually road favorites at least the last couple of years. But a road dog under Rolovich, 5-5 ATS the last 2 years. The 3 years before that, they were in that same 500 level against the point spread. So it's not something that isn't factored into the equation. It's factored, but you're right about the concept. The concept here is that Hawaii is a long, long way from everyone they play. People don't realize how far out in the Pacific Ocean Hawaii is. They travel 3 time zones to get to L.A. So the travel for Hawaii is more significant than any other team in college football. Certainly any other D1 team in college football. But the markets reflect that. And as you mentioned, week one, it's a little bit easier to get away early and get to your destination early. So I don't think it matters a whole lot. But the Bobo situation for Colorado State might matter. I mean, he missed a bunch of practice. He's he had numbness in his feet. He went to the doctor for tests, and they said, we're going to hospitalize you right now. But then, just reading some of the quotes from the players, he's been chirping at us in text messages. Defense kicked the offense butt today, stuff like that. So he's definitely out there watching film, getting on everyone. His biggest message is to make sure the team morale's up and that we're doing what we need to do. The Colorado State going through a QB transition. KJ Carta-Samuels, a graduate transfer from Washington, will be their starting quarterback in week one. He's been taking nearly every snap with the number one offense since practice has started on July 27th. His quote, all I got to do is execute now. That's all it comes down to, really. Of course, he's backed up Jake Browning for the last 3 seasons.
All right, Teddy, we got next game up, 291, 292, 10 o'clock Eastern start. The late nighter on ESPN2, Wyoming versus New Mexico State. Looks like Wyoming laying 3.5 across the board. And keep in mind, they're in Las Cruces, New Mexico, 47.5 down to 46 as the total. Any opinion on Wyoming, New Mexico State?
I want to talk about a game next week, okay? New Mexico State travels to Minnesota on Thursday. All right, that line now is 17.5. So they're going to play this national TV game, pull out all the stops game at home on Saturday for week one. They win that game, I'm telling you, even if they don't, it's going to be a miserable spot at Minnesota on a short week the following week. Gophers, not necessarily an easy team to lay 17.5 with, but that's something to think about right now before this game against Wyoming is played. Now, look, this is a big deal for New Mexico State. They haven't been on the ESPN network since 2009. They haven't been on a major ESPN network since 2007. This one's going to be on the Deuce on Friday night. So, yeah, first bowl, coming off their first bowl in 57 years. They just signed head coach Doug Martin to a QB to an extension where he's going to be around for another 4 seasons. The signs are pointed upwards for the New Mexico State Aggies. Of course, We've seen that in the point spread. This line opened 5, sat at 5 all summer. The last week or two, it's been ticking down to 4, now down to 3.5. And some of the leading indicator books are telling me this one could go down to 3. I don't think it will, but it could. Doug Martin just named Romero. What's his first name? Sorry, I'm spacing on his first name. Romero as the head coach. He's, quote, more of a gunslinger, well-suited to the air raid offense. Look at this total, considering what offense New Mexico State is playing. Of course, this is a kid from Oceanside, California, a JUCO transfer, and his quote, compared to where he came from, it's actually like the same exact offense. It was all new terminology, but it's the same plays, so it hasn't been too hard to pick on. Doug Martin, quote, every quarterback has specific things they like to do. Matt likes to run. He's a dual threat, which helps the offensive line out, and that's fine as long as he knows when to run out of bounds and stays healthy. But as an offense, this is key for that total, we're going to throw the football. That's what we do, and Matt has to be successful throwing it. Worth noting, the Aggies very healthy through preseason. They've only had one significant injury to a sophomore wideout. Of course, this is a team that went 2-10, 3-9, 3-9 before the 7-6 mark last year, so it's not a program with a history of winning. Wyoming doesn't either, really. But when you look at the head coach, Craig Bohl, this is a guy who helped start a string of 5 consecutive national championships in D2 at North Dakota State. That's something that had never been done in college football before. He took over Wyoming, said we're going to do the same things the same way, and lo and behold, they went 4-8 the first year, 2-10 the next year, back-to-back 8-win seasons. Now, obviously, those came with an NFL starting quarterback in Josh Allen. But, for as successful as Josh Allen was, you watched Wyoming last year, they didn't win. The quarterback play was there. They won because of the defense. Not like they had a ton of good wideouts. Not like Allen completed a ton of passes. The completion percentage wasn't there. And, of course, this is now a team with 18 seniors on the roster, only 9 last year, and they too are healthy. A bowl talking. We had a lot of guys that we missed in spring football. That's one of the advantages, though, of carrying a full-bodied squad, because we were able to have a spring game. Some of our guys that competed added great value to our football team. Of course, Wyoming last year, it's all about the takeaways. 38 takeaways. That was the most by any FBS team since La Tech and TCU in 2014. It's going to be hard to come close to that this year, but this is a legit defense. They held opponents to 17.5 points per game last year. That was 9th in the country, and this is the one that stood out to me like crazy. Wyoming's opponents gained 4.6 yards per play last year. That was also 9th in the country. That is more than a 2-yard per play improvement from where they were 2 years ago. This defense has 10 multiple-year starters, 5 all-conference candidates, and 2 seniors who are going to be drafted in the NFL next spring. So that is a loaded defense for young Mr. Romero to face in his first D1 start for New Mexico State.
Yeah, Teddy, that's interesting. So, because I peg both of these teams as kind of being under teams, and it looks like the market is moving that direction since the opener on this total. But you did read a clip there, New Mexico State saying they're going to throw the ball around a little bit, huh, in week 1?
Yeah, that's a quote that stood out like a sore thumb, considering where this line is. This total open as high as 48.5. Now we're seeing 46s out there, and some of the leading indicator shops say it could go lower. I understand the concept. These are 2 very good defenses. And I would say that certainly Wyoming's defense is going to be well ahead of their offense early on. But at 46, if New Mexico State's throwing the ball all over the place and they're going to snap the ball 80 times in this game, well, that may not be a great result for underbettors.
Yeah, and you brought up last year with Wyoming in Josh Allen. If you watched him, Josh Allen was better actually the year before than he was last year. He kind of made a lot of mistakes, and not that he wasn't a good player and he could possibly be a great player in the NFL, but I'm not looking for that big of a drop-off from the quarterback position, because you mentioned it. The Wyoming team, built by Craig Bohl, great football coach, he's proven that, was mostly defensive. So I'm with you. I wouldn't look at it as a big drop-off at the quarterback position. Also want to give a shout-out to a guy, Jeremy Williams, on Twitter, pointing out low love the coaching edge point in Wyoming. And keep in mind, Bowl, he coached two quarterbacks in the NFL, Wentz and Allen, two first-round guys. So he's able to kind of coach up the quarterback play. Something to keep in mind here if you're looking to bet Wyoming early season out of the gate, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to disagree pretty strongly with you saying that Wyoming's quarterback play is not going to drop. Josh Allen didn't complete a ton of passes last year. Okay, completion-wise, or percentage-wise, it wasn't like one of these deals where it was, oh my God, look what this guy did. You know, I mean, he had 56% completions, 1,800 yards. That being said, he had an NFL arm. Coaches had a game plan for him, and he could stretch defenses when he threw the ball long. Now, you don't have an NFL prospect at quarterback. You don't have an NFL arm. You don't have anyone to stretch the defenses. Even though Wyoming's passing game numbers weren't huge last year, and they didn't win because of their offense, 23 points a game, 286 total yards per game, maybe there won't be that great of a drop-off. But when you think about an NFL quarterback versus what Wyoming has right now, there's a drop-off there, even though it didn't show in the stats.
Well, Teddy, I mean, to come back at you, you know, when Josh Allen left high school, he didn't have any Division I offers either. So to say that they don't have an NFL quarterback playing right now, they probably don't, but they may. And Josh Allen, at one point in his career, was an NFL prospect as well. So if you're taking 2016, I agree with you. It is a drop-off, but last year at the quarterback position, I don't know. I'm not going to say for sure, but I would definitely look to see if this kid's on point and the Wyoming offense is humming. I think that they actually could be a buy low opportunity as a team overall betting early season. But I don't know if you have any closing thoughts.
Well, I'm just looking at Josh Allen, just because that was an interesting thing where you're saying, no, he wasn't really recruited that well. And I'm seeing him, as he was a JUCO guy that took him some time before he developed into the NFL prospect. So maybe you're right about that, but I'm not sensing that from whether it's Nick Smith or Tyler Vanderwall or whoever Wyoming brings to the table here.
All right, well, good stuff on the college football front, Teddy. Hey, we got some breaking news in the NFL. 281-282 Arizona Dallas NFL preseason. What, this line's moving? It was at 3, now it's only at 1. Do you know what's happening here, Teddy?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what's happening here. I was hoping we could get this information out a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, since we started the podcast, the line has crashed. Although there are definitely books that are moving slowly on this, but from all indications, according to Jerry Jones, Dallas will not be playing Dak Prescott for another down in the preseason, nor will they be playing Zeke Elliott for another down. Why? Cluster injuries on the offensive line. When their offensive line's not healthy, it means they're not going to put their key skill position players in line to get beaten up by an Arizona team that is +7 in turnover margin through 2 games. Nobody believes in the Cardinals, yet their defense has forced a ton of turnover. So the money is pouring in on Arizona as we speak. No Dak, no Zeke for the Cowboys. That's a national TV game on Sunday. And there was one other one that I wanted to talk about. Oh, Philly-Cleveland, where the line's moving. Although we're seeing it go back up on Cleveland today, despite the fact that it has been confirmed that Nick Foles will see time for the Eagles in this game. Foles, of course, left last week's game very early due to injury. He is back at practice and should be good to go for Philadelphia. Yet the money, there was a bunch of money on Cleveland early. There's still plenty of 3.5s out there, at least here in Las Vegas, on the Browns over the Eagles, despite the fact that Foles is now expected to go.
All right, thanks for that, Teddy. And guys, said it yesterday on the podcast with Vino. With the new acquisition of Sportsmemo, we do have a promotion now. If you type in half off when you're checking out, and that's daily plays, season services, whatever, it's half off of the order. So you can get Teddy's college football for as low as $4.99, his NFL for $4.99. Good stuff there. Or even his week 1 NFL big ticket. Half off. It's only $29 right now. You can do the math. It's half of that. But Teddy, you want to throw anything else out there in conclusion before we shut this down?
Yeah, I mean, it should be a lot of, again, I'm excited to be working with the Wager Talk guys at Sportsmemo. Business as usual, man. And, we've got Drew hosting the podcast. I think he'll be great. I think he'll grow into the role, and I enjoyed talking with you today, Drew. Should be a lot of fun. You can always get a hold of us, 1-800 1-800-575-3069. We'll never call you back. We'll never spam you. We'll never give you nonsense. Really simple, straightforward. 1-800-575-3069. Or you can email us at main@sportsmemo.com. We'll answer any questions you got and see if we can get the appropriate package set up for you.
All right, thanks for the time, Teddy. And guys, we'll have next week every game on the board, both college football and NFL. Thanks for tuning in.